I'm going to show you a couple things when it comes to constructing for a Raku. If you're making a coil project, make sure, and I don't normally suggest this, but for a Raku, I would score and at least put some water in those score marks. Just drop it in there rather than paint it and smear it so those marks stay open. And score your coil. I know this takes a little longer, but it'll be well worth it because you put so much time and energy into a project. It's kind of a shame to not do this and put it in the Raku firing and have it break. And it's okay if you want to leave your coils visible on the outside, but make sure that you smooth the inside really, really well, so that the thermal shock doesn't separate these coils from one another. And keep your coils even so that your walls are even thickness, and it should survive the firing just fine. Okay, now if you're building with slabs for the Raku firing, this is a little different. What you don't want to do is join one slab to another slab to another slab to another slab. The joints, they just really have a hard time surviving the firing. What I like to do for a slab project is to roll out one big slab, mark where my walls are going to end, and then use wood to kind of crimp those. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of wood here to kind of create the illusion of this being a separate wall. Here's my next wall right here, this mark. And I may have waited just a little too long with this slab. So these boards actually help me kind of crimp a corner. I should have put this on a block of wood first so I wouldn't have to handle it so much. Now it's this edge right here where the joint is that you have to pay particular attention to. So you really need to slip and score this. So I'm going to score really well. Put some water on here. Let me push those 2 edges together. And then I would take a coil and run it on the inside. Especially for slab building, I would do a coil on the inside that really reinforces this joint. And you're going to want to smear this coil on both walls. Score. I'm going to press this on, but then I'm going to go over it with a stamp to kind of put some texture back on this edge, and I can actually use this coil as a decorative element because I don't want just this coil slapped on there. And I could do that to all four corners and that would look amazing. The walls are even, your joint is reinforced. There's no reason why this wouldn't survive a Raku firing. I want to talk to you for a moment about the vulnerability of some of the pieces of your ceramic project. And it's the pieces that stick out or are really thin and long. Because the way we get our pieces out of the Raku kiln is we grab them with tongs when the glaze is all molten and we lift it out of the Raku kiln. And a tong can knock against one of these, crack it off. This can hit against the side of the trash can when we put it in the reduction chamber. All kinds of things can happen to it. So I'm not trying to discourage you from putting decorative elements on your piece. I just want you to think about putting a lower profile piece on there. Or just not filling the entire surface with pieces that can possibly break off. Okay, so we're kind of in the back of the classroom here, right near the windows and the pottery wheels. And that's where the clay goes that I recycle. So you just take that dry, chunky piece of clay, throw it in the recycle bin, and I will take care of it. So finding the plastic bags, it is back here by the glaze cabinet. And it's right back here in this section. And you can see a trash can labeled plastic bags. And that's where I keep all the plastic bags for your project. Make sure that you don't throw paper towels in here. This is not a trash can. At the end of class, if you are not finished with your Raku project, you'll need to wrap it up. Always put it on a board. The small boards are kept in this crate right over here. Put it on a board and wrap it in plastic. What I normally suggest to people is that you take the bag and just drape it over your piece. That gives you 2 layers of plastic instead of just one, and that you tuck in the plastic underneath your board. Make sure all the air is squeezed out, and that'll keep your piece pretty damp. The other thing you can do, if it's going to be a weekend and it's a Friday, you might need a little extra help to keep your clay moist. So you want to get a paper towel or a cloth, run it under the water, squeeze it out really good, and then open it up and drape it around your piece. You don't want it dripping, because dripping will just loosen some of your joints and it'll mess up all the texture that you have on the outside.